20 black female celebrities who died tragically after years of abuse. What if the voices that brought joy to millions were hiding years of unbearable pain behind the fame, applause, and unforgettable music some of black entertainment's greatest legends endured? Violence, exploitation, addiction, betrayal, illness, and emotional suffering that the public rarely saw. From Marvin Gaye's terrifying family history to Whitney Houston's private struggles, these stories reveal the devastating price that can exist behind success. Some fought desperately to escape. Others continued performing while quietly falling apart. Today, Golden Black Legends uncovers the heartbreaking truth behind 20 icons whose lives ended far too soon. Before we begin, subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments which legendary artist's hidden struggle affected you the most. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's voice became one of the defining sounds of American soul music, but behind timeless classics like What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing was a man who spent much of his life carrying emotional wounds that never fully healed. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1939, Marvin grew up in a household ruled by his father Marvin Gaye Sr., a strict minister whose discipline often crossed into physical and emotional abuse. Family members later described a home filled with fear where harsh criticism and violence were common. Those early experiences shaped Marvin's fragile self-confidence and remained with him long after he became a global superstar. When he joined Motown Records in the early 1960s, success arrived quickly. He sold millions of records, won Grammy Awards, and became one of the label's biggest stars. Yet fame never brought the peace he searched for. Financial disputes, tax problems, the collapse of his marriage to Anna Gordy, and the pressure of constantly producing hit records left him emotionally exhausted. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, he struggled with cocaine, addiction, anxiety, and severe depression while living in Europe to escape mounting debts with the IRS. Although Sexual Healing revived his career in 1982 and earned him 2 Grammy Awards, the personal battles never truly disappeared. Eventually, Marvin returned to live with his parents in Los Angeles, hoping to recover both physically and mentally. Instead, the old family tensions resurfaced. On April 1, 1984, just one day before his 45th birthday, an argument between his parents escalated inside their home. Marvin intervened to protect his mother, Alberta Gaye. During the confrontation, his father used a .38 caliber revolver, ironically, a gun Marvin himself had previously purchased as a gift, and fatally shot him. He was only 44 years old. Marvin Gaye's death shocked the world, but his legacy continues to inspire generations of musicians. His story remains a heartbreaking reminder that extraordinary fame and artistic brilliance cannot erase the scars left by years of abuse, emotional trauma, and unresolved family pain. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston possessed one of the greatest voices popular music has ever known, yet the remarkable success that made her an international icon could never completely shield her from years of emotional turmoil, unhealthy relationships, and relentless public pressure. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1963, Whitney was raised in a celebrated musical family surrounded by extraordinary talent. From an early age, enormous expectations followed her everywhere. After signing with Arista Records, her self-titled debut album in 1985 transformed her into a global phenomenon, eventually selling more than 25 million copies worldwide. Over the following decades, she accumulated over 200 million records, sold numerous Grammy Awards, and unforgettable performances that secured her place among the greatest singers in history. Behind the glamorous image, however, Whitney lived under constant scrutiny. Every career decision, every public appearance, and every personal relationship became worldwide news. Her marriage to Bobby Brown in 1992 attracted enormous media attention. The relationship was frequently marked by conflict, emotional strain, and substance abuse, creating an environment that friends and family later described as deeply unhealthy. At the same time, Whitney struggled with the overwhelming demands of superstardom. Endless touring, recording schedules, and intense public expectations gradually took a heavy toll on both her physical and emotional well-being. As addiction worsened during the late 1990s and 2000s, her once effortless performances became increasingly difficult, while speculation from tabloids often overshadowed her extraordinary musical achievements. Despite repeated attempts at recovery and hopes for a comeback, Whitney's health continued to decline. She remained determined to rebuild both her career and personal life, but years of addiction, stress, and emotional hardship had already caused lasting damage. On February 11th, 2012, Whitney Houston was found unresponsive in the bathtub of her suite at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on the eve of the Grammy Awards. She was 48 years old. The Los Angeles County coroner concluded that her death resulted from accidental drowning with heart disease and cocaine use identified as contributing factors. Even today, Whitney Houston's story serves as a deeply moving reminder that behind one of history's most extraordinary voices stood a woman whose private struggles were often hidden beneath applause, fame, and worldwide admiration. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's journey to becoming the king of pop is one of the greatest success stories in entertainment history, yet behind the record-breaking albums and unforgettable performances was a man shaped by years of relentless pressure that began in childhood. Born in Gary, Indiana in 1958, Michael entered the spotlight before most children even understood what fame meant. As the youngest standout member of the Jackson 5, he rehearsed for countless hours under the demanding supervision of his father, Joe Jackson. Michael later spoke openly about being physically disciplined and constantly criticized experiences that deeply affected his confidence and self-image. While millions admired the smiling child on stage, few realized how much of his childhood had been sacrificed in pursuit of perfection. During the 1980s, Michael reached a level of fame almost unmatched in modern history. Albums such as Thriller, Bad and Dangerous sold tens of millions of copies, while his music videos revolutionized the industry. Yet global success came with overwhelming expectations. Every performance had to surpass the last, every appearance became headline news, and every aspect of his private life was intensely scrutinized. Years of exhausting tours, legal battles, financial obligations, and public controversy placed enormous emotional strain on him. At the same time, chronic pain from injuries sustained during performances led to increasing reliance on prescription medication. What initially began as medical treatment gradually evolved into long-term dependency, making restful sleep almost impossible without pharmaceutical assistance. As preparations intensified for his planned This Is It concert series in London, Michael pushed himself to meet extraordinary physical demands despite declining health. On June 25, 2009, he was found unresponsive at his Los Angeles home. He was 50 years old. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled his death a homicide caused by acute propofol intoxication administered by his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, who was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Michael Jackson left behind an unmatched musical legacy that continues to influence artists worldwide. His life also stands as a powerful reminder that unimaginable fame cannot erase the lasting effects of childhood trauma, constant pressure, and years spent carrying burdens invisible to the public. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday transformed American music with a voice unlike any other, capable of expressing heartbreak, resilience, and vulnerability in ways that touched generations of listeners. Yet the emotional depth heard in classics such as Strange Fruit, God Bless the Child and Lover Man reflected a life marked by hardship long before fame arrived. Born Eleanora Fagan in Philadelphia in 1915 and raised primarily in Baltimore, Billie experienced an unstable childhood shaped by poverty, neglect, and abuse. She spent part of her youth in reform institutions and faced enormous obstacles simply trying to survive. Those painful early experiences became the emotional foundation of her extraordinary artistry, allowing audiences to connect deeply with every lyric she sang. As her career flourished during the 1930s and 1940s, Billie became one of jazz's defining voices. However, success did not protect her from discrimination or exploitation. Performing in segregated America meant enduring racism both on and off the stage. Her courageous recording of Strange Fruit in 1939, a haunting protest against racial violence and lynching, established her as more than a singer. It made her a cultural symbol. At the same time, she struggled with abusive personal relationships and addiction problems that were compounded by relentless legal attention. Federal narcotics officials repeatedly targeted Holiday because of her drug use, resulting in arrests that severely damaged her career. Losing her cabaret card prevented her from performing in many of New York City's major venues, dramatically reducing her income and opportunities. Despite recurring setbacks, Billie continued performing whenever possible, determined to keep singing even as her health declined. Years of addiction and chronic liver disease gradually weakened her body. In July 1959, while hospitalized in New York, she remained under police guard after another narcotics arrest. She died on July 17, 1959, at just 44 years old. Billie Holiday's extraordinary voice forever changed American music, while her life remains a sobering reminder of how poverty, discrimination, addiction, and institutional pressure can combine to shorten even the brightest careers. Jackie Wilson. Jackie Wilson earned the nickname Mr. Excitement for good reason. His electrifying stage presence, powerful vocals, and unmatched charisma helped bridge the gap between rhythm and blues, soul, and early rock and roll. Hits such as Lonely Teardrops, Higher and Higher, and To Be Loved made him one of the most influential entertainers of the 1950s and 1960s. Yet behind the dazzling performances stood an artist whose financial success rarely translated into personal security. Like many black performers of his era, Jackie signed contracts that heavily favored managers and business partners, leaving him with only a fraction of the wealth generated by his remarkable career. Although Jackie sold millions of records and toured relentlessly, poor financial management and unfavorable business arrangements kept him in constant difficulty. His longtime manager, Nat Tarnopol, maintained significant control over his business affairs, while royalty payments often failed to reflect Jackie's commercial success. Personal tragedies also took a devastating emotional toll. In 1970, his teenage son was killed in a shooting, a loss that deeply affected him. Even as he continued entertaining audiences, the emotional burden and physical demands of constant touring became increasingly difficult to bear. On September 29, 1975, while performing Lonely Teardrops at Dick Clark's Good Old Rock and Roll Revue in New Jersey, Jackie suddenly collapsed on stage after suffering a massive heart attack. Oxygen deprivation caused severe brain damage, leaving him in a minimally conscious state for nearly 9 years. During that time, legal disputes over royalties and finances continued, while Jackie remained unable to speak or defend his own interests. He passed away on January 21, 1984, at the age of 49. Today, Jackie Wilson is remembered not only as one of music's greatest live performers, but also as a symbol of an era when many legendary black entertainers achieved worldwide fame while receiving far less financial protection than they deserved. Aaliyah. Aaliyah's career burned brilliantly but far too briefly, leaving behind a legacy that continues to influence R&B, pop, and fashion decades after her passing. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1979 and raised in Detroit, Aaliyah displayed exceptional talent from an early age. Her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, introduced a teenager with remarkable poise and maturity, while later albums such as One in a Million and Aaliyah established her as one of the defining voices of her generation. She successfully expanded into acting with films including Romeo Must Die, proving she possessed the versatility to become both a music and Hollywood star. Despite her rapid rise, Aaliyah's early career was overshadowed by inappropriate adult influence. Her professional relationship with R. Kelly became the subject of widespread controversy after reports emerged that the two had entered an illegal marriage while she was still underage. The marriage was later annulled, and Aaliyah distanced herself professionally, rebuilding her career with remarkable determination. Rather than allowing that difficult chapter to define her future, she reinvented herself through new collaborators, modern production, and a sophisticated artistic image that earned widespread critical acclaim. By the early 2000s, she stood at the forefront of contemporary R&B while simultaneously establishing herself as a promising actress. In August 2001, after completing the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and members of her team boarded a small Cessna 402 aircraft for the return flight. Investigators later determined that the plane was significantly overloaded and that the pilot was not properly qualified to operate the aircraft. Shortly after takeoff, the plane crashed, killing all 9 people on board. Aaliyah was only 22 years old. Though her life ended far too soon, her elegance, innovation, and resilience continued to inspire artists around the world. Her story remains a heartbreaking reminder of how extraordinary promise can be lost in an instant, even after overcoming profound personal challenges. Mary Wells. Mary Wells helped lay the foundation for Motown's rise to global fame, yet her own story became one of the music industry's earliest cautionary tales. Born in Detroit, Michigan in 1943, she overcame childhood illness and poverty before discovering that her extraordinary voice could open doors no one in her family had imagined. At just 17 years old, she signed with Motown Records, becoming one of the label's first female superstars. Hits such as My Guy, Two Lovers, and You Beat Me to the Punch made her a household name, while her elegant style and warm voice earned her the title of Motown's First Lady. By the early 1960s, she had become one of the label's biggest commercial successes, helping establish Motown as a force in popular music. Despite her remarkable achievements, Mary rarely enjoyed the financial rewards her success generated. Like many young artists of her era, she signed contracts with little understanding of the long-term consequences. While her records sold millions of copies, royalty payments remained modest compared with the profits flowing into the record company. Hoping for greater creative freedom and fairer compensation, she left Motown in 1964. The decision dramatically altered the course of her career. Lengthy legal disputes, industry politics, and changing musical trends limited the opportunities that followed. Although she continued recording and performing, she never again reached the extraordinary commercial heights of her Motown years. During the early 1990s, another devastating challenge emerged when Mary was diagnosed with throat cancer, the very illness that threatened the gift which had made her famous. Medical expenses quickly mounted, and without substantial financial security, she relied on fundraising efforts and support from fellow entertainers. Even as her health deteriorated, she remained grateful to the fans who never forgot her music. Mary Wells passed away on July 26, 1992, at the age of 49. Her life remains a powerful reminder that many pioneering Black performers helped build billion-dollar music empires, while receiving only a small share of the wealth they created. Today, her voice continues to inspire generations, ensuring that her influence reaches far beyond the hardships she endured. Tammy Terrell possessed one of the brightest smiles and most recognizable voices of the Motown era. But behind her joyful performances was a young woman whose life was marked by heartbreak, violence, and extraordinary courage. Born Thomasina Montgomery in Philadelphia in 1945, Tammy displayed remarkable musical talent from childhood and entered the entertainment industry as a teenager. Her career truly flourished after joining Motown Records, where her unforgettable duets with Marvin Gaye, including Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, and You're All I Need to Get By, became some of the most beloved recordings in soul music history. Their chemistry appeared effortless, convincing millions of listeners they were witnessing pure happiness. Away from the stage, however, Tammy's personal life was far more complicated. Before and during her rise to fame, she experienced deeply troubled romantic relationships, most notably with singer David Ruffin of The Temptations. Numerous biographical accounts describe Ruffin as physically abusive, and friends later recalled repeated incidents that left Tammy emotionally devastated. Even while carrying these invisible burdens, she continued recording, touring, and promoting Motown's growing success. Audiences saw only the confident performer, unaware of the emotional pain she struggled to conceal behind every smile. On October 14, 1967, while performing with Marvin Gaye at Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia, Tammy suddenly collapsed in his arms. Doctors soon discovered a malignant brain tumor, beginning a long and exhausting medical battle. Over the next 2.5 years, she underwent 8 brain surgeries in an effort to save her life. Throughout the ordeal, Marvin Gaye visited frequently and remained deeply affected by her illness, later admitting he found it emotionally difficult to perform many of their famous duets without thinking of her. On March 16, 1970, Tammy Terrell died at just 24 years old. Although her life was tragically brief, her recordings continue to define an era, while her story reminds us that some of music's brightest smiles can hide unimaginable suffering behind the spotlight. Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard was not only a founding member of the Supremes, but also one of the voices that helped transform Motown into an international powerhouse. Born in Detroit, Michigan in 1943, Florence grew up in a hardworking family and developed exceptional vocal ability at an early age. Alongside Mary Wilson and Diana Ross, she helped build one of the most successful female groups in music history. During the 1960s, the Supremes produced an extraordinary string of #1 hits, broke racial barriers on international television, and became one of Motown's greatest commercial triumphs. For a time, it appeared that Florence had achieved everything a young singer could dream of. Yet success gradually gave way to disappointment. As Motown increasingly focused on promoting Diana Ross as the group's central star, Florence found herself pushed further into the background. Her vocal contributions became less prominent, media attention shifted elsewhere, and confidence that had once defined her performances slowly disappeared. At the same time, she faced mounting personal struggles, including the lingering trauma of a violent assault she had survived as a teenager. Friends later described how emotional stress, declining self-esteem, and increasing alcohol use affected both her health and professional life. In 1967, Motown removed Florence from the Supremes and replaced her with Cindy Birdsong, effectively ending her role in the group she had helped create. After leaving the spotlight, Florence fought to rebuild her career, but opportunities were limited. Financial difficulties grew worse, and despite years of contributing to one of America's most successful vocal groups, she struggled to support her 3 daughters. Welfare assistance eventually became necessary as she searched unsuccessfully for a stable comeback. Years of emotional hardship and declining health ultimately took a severe toll. On February 22, 1976, Florence Ballard died from a heart attack at only 32 years old. Today, many historians recognize her as one of Motown's most overlooked pioneers, a gifted performer whose immense contribution to music was overshadowed by an industry that often failed to protect or properly reward the artists who helped build its extraordinary success. Bobby DeBarge. Bobby DeBarge possessed one of the most distinctive falsetto voices of the late 1970s and early 1980s, becoming the lead singer of the R&B group Switch and later an important influence on the success of the DeBarge family. Born in Detroit, Michigan in 1956, Bobby grew up in a household marked by instability, fear, and violence. Numerous family members have spoken publicly about the physical and emotional abuse inflicted by their father, Robert DeBarge Sr. Several siblings also alleged sexual abuse within the home, creating a traumatic environment that left lasting psychological scars. Long before fame arrived, Bobby was already carrying emotional wounds that would follow him throughout his life. Despite his painful upbringing, Bobby's extraordinary vocal talent quickly attracted attention. After joining Switch, he helped deliver hits such as There'll Never Be and I Call Your Name, establishing himself as one of Motown's brightest young performers. Behind the success, however, addiction steadily tightened its grip. Bobby began using drugs while still young, and heroin eventually became a destructive force in both his personal life and professional career. As his dependency worsened, recording opportunities declined, relationships suffered, and financial stability disappeared. Legal problems followed, culminating in a prison sentence in the late 1980s for drug trafficking. While incarcerated, Bobby learned he had contracted HIV, a diagnosis that dramatically changed the course of his remaining years. After his release, Bobby attempted to rebuild his life, but years of addiction and declining health made recovery increasingly difficult. AIDS-related complications gradually weakened his body, while the fame that had once surrounded him had largely faded. On August 16, 1995, Bobby DeBarge died at only 39 years old. Although his career was far shorter than many believed, it should have been. His remarkable voice continues to influence generations of R&B artists. His life serves as a heartbreaking example of how childhood abuse, unresolved trauma, addiction, and exploitation can combine to destroy even the most extraordinary talent before it has the opportunity to fully flourish. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway remains one of soul music's most gifted vocalists, remembered for recordings that blended breathtaking emotion with remarkable musical sophistication. Born in Chicago in 1945 and raised in St. Louis by his grandmother, Hathaway displayed exceptional talent from an early age, mastering several instruments before attending Howard University on a music scholarship. During the late 1960s and 1970s, he became widely respected as a singer-songwriter, arranger, and pianist. Classics such as A Song for You the Ghetto and his unforgettable duets with Roberta Flack showcased a depth of feeling that few artists have ever matched. To audiences, Donny appeared to be a quiet musical genius whose future seemed limitless. Behind that brilliance, however, Hathaway fought an increasingly difficult battle with mental illness. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, a condition that was far less understood during that era than it is today. Hallucinations, paranoia, and severe depression frequently interrupted recording sessions and live performances. Friends and colleagues recalled moments when he believed people were trying to harm him or secretly plotting against him. Despite receiving medical treatment, balancing medication with the demands of a successful career proved extraordinarily difficult. At times, his symptoms improved, allowing him to return to the studio, but periods of instability continued to recur. The pressure of maintaining professional excellence while battling a serious psychiatric illness became an overwhelming burden. In early 1979, Hathaway reunited with Roberta Flack to record new material, raising hopes for a major comeback. Tragically, those hopes were short-lived. On January 13, 1979, after an apparent mental health crisis, Donny Hathaway fell from the 15th floor of New York City's Essex House Hotel. He was only 33 years old. His death was ruled a suicide. Decades later, his recordings continue to inspire singers across every genre, while his life has become an important reminder of the need for compassionate mental health care. Donny Hathaway's extraordinary artistry remains timeless, even as his personal story highlights how invisible emotional suffering can exist behind extraordinary musical greatness. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix revolutionized modern guitar playing in only a few short years, changing the sound of rock music forever with unmatched creativity and fearless experimentation. Born in Seattle, Washington in 1942, Hendrix experienced a difficult childhood shaped by poverty, family instability, and frequent conflict between his parents. Following his mother's death when he was just 15 years old, he struggled with feelings of loss and uncertainty while searching for direction. Music gradually became both his escape and his purpose. After serving briefly in the US Army, Hendrix devoted himself completely to performing, eventually relocating to England, where his career exploded almost overnight. Between 1967 and 1970, Hendrix released groundbreaking albums, including Are You Experienced, Axis Bold as Love, and Electric Ladyland. Songs such as Purple Haze Little Wing and Voodoo Child's Slight Return transformed expectations of what an electric guitar could accomplish. Yet the astonishing pace of his success carried enormous costs. Constant international touring, relentless recording schedules, financial disputes with management, and intense public attention left Hendrix physically and emotionally exhausted. Although he enjoyed artistic freedom, unlike many performers of his era, he also faced mounting legal and business pressures while struggling to balance commercial success with his desire for creative independence. Like many musicians during that period, Hendrix occasionally relied on alcohol and prescription sleeping medication while coping with exhaustion. In September 1970, after returning to London following months of demanding work, he took sleeping tablets after an evening that included alcohol. On September 18, 1970. Hendrix died at the age of 27 from asphyxia after inhaling vomit while under the effects of barbiturates. His death stunned the music world and contributed to the lasting legacy of the so-called 27 Club. More than 5 decades later, Jimi Hendrix remains one of history's most influential musicians. His story reflects not only astonishing artistic achievement, but also the tremendous physical and emotional pressures that can accompany extraordinary fame at a remarkably young age. Frankie Lymon. Frankie Lymon became one of rock and roll's first teenage superstars before he was even old enough to drive a car. Born in Harlem, New York in 1942, Frankie displayed remarkable natural talent from childhood and quickly rose to fame as the lead singer of Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers. At just 13 years old, his energetic performance of Why Do Fools Fall in Love became an international sensation, making him one of the youngest recording stars in American history. His youthful voice, infectious stage presence, and undeniable charisma captivated millions of fans and helped shape the future of popular music. Behind the excitement of sudden fame, however, Frankie remained a child, surrounded by adults, making decisions that would influence the rest of his life. The financial arrangements surrounding his early success left him with only a small share of the wealth generated by his recordings. As his voice naturally changed during adolescence, record companies gradually shifted their attention elsewhere, leaving the young singer struggling to maintain the career he had built as a child. Without the support systems available to many modern performers, Frankie found himself facing disappointment, financial instability, and growing emotional frustration while still in his teenage years. During this difficult period, he became addicted to heroin, a dependency that repeatedly disrupted efforts to rebuild his career. Throughout the 1960s, Frankie attempted several comebacks, but addiction and legal problems repeatedly stood in the way. The fame that had once seemed limitless gradually disappeared, replaced by personal hardship and declining health. On February 27, 1968, Frankie Lymon died from a heroin overdose at the age of just 25. After his death, lengthy legal disputes arose over his estate and the rights to his music, further illustrating how little control he had over the success he created. Today, Frankie Lymon is remembered as one of the true pioneers of early rock and roll, while his life remains a poignant reminder of how childhood, stardom, exploitation, and addiction can tragically shorten even the brightest careers. Little Willie John. Little Willie John possessed one of the most powerful voices of early rhythm and blues, earning admiration from fellow musicians long before soul music became a worldwide phenomenon. Born in Cullendale, Arkansas in 1937 and raised in Detroit, he displayed extraordinary vocal ability from childhood. During the 1950s, he recorded timeless hits such as Fever Talk to Me, and Leave My Kitten Alone, influencing artists ranging from James Brown to the Beatles. His rich emotional delivery helped shape the sound of modern R&B, making him one of the genre's most respected pioneers while he was still in his 20s. Despite his remarkable talent, Little Willie John's career gradually became overshadowed by personal struggles and legal troubles. The demanding pace of touring, combined with financial pressures and alcohol abuse, placed increasing strain on his life. Unlike many successful performers, he lacked a strong support system capable of helping him navigate fame and its consequences. In 1964, following an altercation outside a Seattle nightclub, he was convicted of voluntary manslaughter after fatally stabbing a man during what he maintained had been an act of self-defense. The conviction resulted in a prison sentence at the Washington State Penitentiary, effectively ending a career that had once seemed destined for even greater success. Life behind bars proved physically and emotionally devastating. His health deteriorated rapidly while incarcerated, and he received treatment only after becoming seriously ill. On May 26, 1968, Little Willie John died in prison at just 30 years old. The official cause of death was pneumonia, although questions have lingered for decades about whether he received adequate medical care during his final illness. His passing marked the tragic end of one of rhythm and blues' greatest early voices. Today, Little Willie John is remembered not only for his remarkable influence on generations of singers, but also as an artist whose extraordinary promise was ultimately overwhelmed by personal hardship, legal tragedy, and circumstances that cut his life far too short. Esther Phillips. Esther Phillips was one of the most versatile voices in American music, moving effortlessly between rhythm and blues, soul, jazz, country, and pop, while earning admiration for the emotional honesty she brought to every performance. Born Esther Mae Jones in Galveston, Texas in 1935, she entered the entertainment world at an astonishingly young age. At only 14 years old, she won an amateur talent contest that launched her professional career under bandleader Johnny Otis, who introduced her to audiences as Little Esther. While her remarkable voice quickly attracted national attention, the demands placed upon such a young performer also exposed her to an exhausting adult world long before she was emotionally prepared for it. Years of constant touring, relentless performances, and industry pressure gradually took their toll. During the 1950s, Esther developed a heroin addiction, a struggle that repeatedly interrupted her career and personal life. Although she entered rehabilitation and successfully rebuilt her career during the 1960s, her comeback demonstrated extraordinary resilience rather than effortless success. Songs such as Release Me and her Grammy-nominated interpretation of What a Difference a Day Makes proved she remained one of the most expressive vocalists of her generation. Even so, maintaining sobriety while facing the constant pressures of the music business required tremendous determination, and long-term health complications continued to follow her. By the early 1980s, years of substance abuse had severely damaged Esther's kidneys and liver, despite her efforts to remain active professionally. On August 7, 1984, she died at the age of 48 in California from liver and kidney failure. Although her life contained heartbreaking struggles, Esther Phillips left behind a remarkable catalog that continues to influence singers across multiple genres. Her story stands as a moving reminder of both the extraordinary resilience required to survive in the entertainment industry and the lasting consequences that early exploitation, addiction, and years of relentless pressure can have on even the most gifted artists. Paul Williams, The Temptations. Paul Williams helped transform The Temptations into one of the greatest vocal groups in music history, yet behind his graceful choreography and soulful performances lay years of silent suffering. Born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1939 and later raised in Detroit, Williams became one of the founding members of The Temptations. His expressive voice and magnetic stage presence played a vital role in shaping the group's identity during the 1960s. Classics such as My Girl, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and I Wish It Would Rain established the group as Motown legends, while Paul's choreography became an essential part of their unforgettable live performances. Even as The Temptations enjoyed worldwide fame, Paul privately battled serious health problems. He suffered from sickle cell disease, a painful condition that frequently caused severe physical discomfort while demanding touring schedules allowed little opportunity for recovery. As the years passed, alcohol became a way for him to cope with chronic pain and emotional stress, further affecting his health and reliability on stage. Friends and fellow band members watched with concern as his condition gradually worsened. Eventually, the combination of illness and alcohol dependency forced him to step away from performing regularly, ending the career he loved while he was still relatively young. Paul also struggled with depression and the emotional impact of losing his place within the group he had helped build. On August 17, 1973, he was found dead inside his car in Detroit from a gunshot wound. Authorities ruled his death as suicide, although questions have continued to surround the circumstances for decades. He was only 34 years old. While countless fans remember The Temptations' greatest hits, many also recognize Paul Williams as one of the group's emotional foundations, a gifted artist whose remarkable contributions were accompanied by years of physical pain and private battles that remained largely hidden from public view until after his tragic death. Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman possessed one of the richest and most sophisticated voices in soul and jazz, captivating audiences with her elegance, emotional depth, and extraordinary vocal range. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1949 and raised in Pittsburgh, she began performing professionally during the 1970s before establishing herself as one of the premier interpreters of romantic ballads and contemporary soul. Albums featuring songs such as Living All Alone, You Know How to Love Me, and Old Friend earned critical acclaim and a devoted fan base. Her commanding stage presence and unmistakable voice made her one of the most respected singers of her generation, even if commercial success never fully reflected her immense talent. Away from the spotlight, however, Hyman endured a long struggle with bipolar disorder and recurring depression. At a time when mental illness was often misunderstood and rarely discussed openly, she frequently faced her battles in silence. The pressure to maintain a flawless public image while meeting the demanding expectations of the music industry only intensified her emotional burden. Friends and colleagues later recalled that she often appeared cheerful in public while privately wrestling with loneliness and profound sadness. Despite continuing to record and perform, maintaining emotional stability became increasingly difficult as the years passed. On June 30, 1995, only hours before she was scheduled to perform at New York's Apollo Theater, Phyllis Hyman died by suicide at the age of 45 after an overdose of prescription medication combined with alcohol. Her death shocked fans and fellow musicians alike, drawing renewed attention to the importance of mental health awareness within the entertainment industry. Today, Phyllis Hyman is remembered not only for her remarkable artistry, but also for her courage in confronting personal struggles that many people never saw. Her legacy continues to inspire listeners, serving as both a celebration of extraordinary musical talent and a poignant reminder that emotional pain can remain hidden even behind the most graceful performances. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke changed the course of American music with a voice that blended gospel passion, pop sophistication, and soul in a way few artists had ever achieved. Born in Clarksdale, Mississippi in 1931 and raised in Chicago, Cooke first gained national recognition as the lead singer of the legendary gospel group The Soul Stirrers before making the bold decision to pursue secular music. That move was controversial at the time, but it transformed him into one of the first black artists to successfully cross over into mainstream popular music. Timeless classics such as You Sent Me Cupid, Wonderful World and A Change Is Gonna Come established him as one of the defining voices of the 20th century. Unlike many performers of his era, Cooke also understood the importance of business ownership and worked tirelessly to gain greater control over his recordings' publishing rights and career. His determination to build financial independence challenged an industry that often left black artists with little ownership of the wealth they created. Cooke founded his own publishing company and record label, becoming a pioneer for future generations of musicians seeking creative and financial freedom. At the same time, he faced enormous pressure as both an entertainer and a civil rights advocate during one of America's most turbulent periods. His socially conscious anthem, A Change Is Gonna Come, inspired by the civil rights movement, reflected not only his artistic growth, but also his personal commitment to equality and justice, despite growing tensions surrounding his public life. On December 11, 1964, Sam Cooke was fatally shot at the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles at the age of 33. The motel manager claimed she acted in self-defense after a confrontation, and authorities ruled the shooting a justifiable homicide. However, the circumstances surrounding his death have remained the subject of debate for decades, with many fans and historians questioning whether the full truth was ever uncovered. Although his life ended tragically, Sam Cooke's influence continues to shape popular music, while his pursuit of artistic ownership and dignity remains one of his most enduring legacies. Minnie Riperton. Minnie Riperton possessed one of the most extraordinary voices ever recorded, astonishing audiences with her remarkable 5-octave vocal range and effortless ability to reach soaring whistle notes. Born in Chicago, Illinois in 1947, she received formal vocal training from an early age before entering the music industry as both a background vocalist and member of several recording groups. Her career reached international success in 1975 with the timeless hit Lovin' You, a song that showcased not only her incredible technical ability but also the warmth and tenderness that became her signature. Albums such as Perfect Angel and Adventures in Paradise established Riperton as one of soul music's most distinctive performers during the 1970s. Just as her career reached its highest point, tragedy struck. In 1976, Minnie was diagnosed with breast cancer at only 29 years old. She underwent a radical mastectomy but chose to speak publicly about her illness at a time when very few celebrities openly discussed cancer. Her courage helped raise awareness of breast cancer and encouraged countless women to seek early detection and treatment. Despite undergoing medical care, she continued recording, touring, and appearing at charity events whenever her health allowed. Rather than allowing illness to define her, Minnie became an inspiring advocate who transformed personal hardship into hope for others facing similar battles. As the disease progressed, her physical strength gradually declined, yet her passion for music never disappeared. She remained devoted to her family, including her young daughter, actress and comedian Maya Rudolph, while continuing to record whenever possible. On July 12, 1979, Minnie Riperton died at the age of 31 after complications from breast cancer. Although her life was heartbreakingly short, her influence on modern R&B, soul, and pop music remains enormous. More importantly, her openness about her illness changed public conversations surrounding breast cancer, ensuring that her legacy extends far beyond the unforgettable beauty of her remarkable voice. Creedle, Red Jones, The Cheelites. Creedle, Red Jones was one of the founding members of the Chi-Lites, the legendary Chicago soul group whose smooth harmonies helped define R&B throughout the late 1960s and 1970s. Born in Chicago, Illinois in 1939, Jones spent years developing his vocal talent before helping establish the group that would eventually produce classics such as Have You Seen Her and Oh Girl. While fellow member Eugene Record often received the greatest public recognition as the group's primary songwriter and lead vocalist, Red Jones played an essential role in shaping the group's signature harmonies and enduring stage presence. Together, the Chi-Lites became one of Brunswick Records' most successful acts, selling millions of records worldwide. Despite commercial success, financial security proved far more difficult to achieve. Like many black recording artists of that era, members of the Chi-Lites worked under contracts that offered limited control over royalties and long-term earnings. Years later, Brunswick Records became the subject of federal investigations involving financial practices, and numerous artists connected to the label expressed concerns about unpaid royalties and accounting disputes. Although Jones continued performing for many years, the financial rewards rarely reflected the group's lasting impact on soul music. As musical tastes changed during the 1980s, opportunities became increasingly limited, making it difficult for many veteran performers to maintain stable incomes despite their historic contributions. In his later years, Jones struggled with severe financial hardship and periods of homelessness, a heartbreaking contrast to the success he had once helped create. On August 25, 1994, he was found dead in Los Angeles at the age of 55. His passing received far less public attention than the music he helped create deserved, yet his contributions remain woven into the history of classic soul. Creadle Red Jones' story stands as a sobering reminder that many pioneering black musicians helped build the foundation of modern popular music while never receiving the lasting financial security their extraordinary achievements should have provided. Some of these legends found worldwide fame. Others changed music forever with voices the world will never forget. Yet behind the applause were lives marked by heartbreak, exploitation, family conflict, addiction, illness, and sacrifices that many fans never knew about. Their stories remind us that success doesn't always protect people from pain, and sometimes the brightest stars carry the heaviest burdens in silence. Which story shocked you the most? Was it Marvin Gaye, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, or someone else on this list? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd genuinely love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoy uncovering the untold stories behind Black history music and entertainment, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode from Golden Black Legends. Until next time, thank you for watching.